I 23 male met my ex 21F 3 years ago. We lived on campus at uni in different halls of residence. After a few months, we got together and for the most part had a very happy relationship. There was always one issue though. My ex grew up in a very religious home. Her father is a pastor. She has been open with her family that she does not share their faith. They weren't happy about it but accepted that she has to make her own choices on that. Nevertheless, I think some of that religious upbringing was still in her mind. I grew up in a different religion but was never very serious about it, and am no longer religious. Our relationship was pretty normal except that she told me very early that she was a virgin and wanted to stay that way until she was married. It wasn't for religious reasons, as I mentioned she isn't religious. But she was very focused on not disappointing her dad. We did other sexual things, just not intercourse. I never had much luck with girls growing up, and going into the relationship I was a virgin. And I still am, at least if you classify being a virgin as never having had intercourse. Anyway, I was becoming more resentful of the fact that everyone I know was having normal sexual relationships and we weren't. I couldn't understand why she didn't want to have a full sexual relationship, though of course I never pressured her about it. I felt that while I was at uni, and pretty broke, getting married was something for the future. Last year, I was in my last year of uni and she was working in her first professional job. Her degree was shorter than mine, so she finished uni first despite being younger than me. She was talking a lot about all these successful guys she met at work, which did make me feel lesser as I was still a broke uni student. Coupled with her still not wanting a full sexual relationship, it did make me feel more resentful. We had some arguments about it and after a while I felt that I should end the relationship as we wanted different things and our lives were on different paths. It was awful. She was crying a lot and I felt terrible afterwards. Anyway, it has been nearly 6 months since we broke up. We haven't been in touch at all for most of that time. I have not been involved with anyone else in that time, as I was 100% focused on finishing my degree. I have finally finished uni and am about to start my first professional job. She recently got in touch again and asked to meet up. I was hesitant, but decided we had so much good history that I should hear her out. She told me she's been missing me terribly these past 6 months. That she thinks she wants to get back together, and is open to having a sexual relationship now. I asked her why now? What changed? And she looked uncomfortable. After a little prying, she said she had a short-term fling with one of the older guys at work while we were broken up. Which is of course was fine as she wasn't my girlfriend anymore. Anyway, she said he persisted with her until she started having sex with him. She ended it with him recently. She was clear that it was consensual, but that the guy was very persistent with pursuing sex with her. I was gutted. I couldn't understand why she'd make me wait all those years, but was fine doing it with some new guy she'd only been seeing a short time. I asked if the reason she was open to having a sexual relationship now is because she wasn't a virgin anymore. She said yes. I asked her to give me some space to process all this. I'm conflicted and would love some advice on this. I have missed her a lot and still have strong feelings for her. But at the same time it feels like I was strung along for years. It's hard to put my finger on why I don't want to take her back. Everything logically makes sense for us to get back together. I'd even get to finally have a sexual relationship with her. But I feel awful about this whole thing and don't want to ignore those feelings. Update 1. Today I blocked Ellie on everything. Since we agreed not to be in touch again, that shouldn't matter, but if she doesn't stick to that agreement, for example if she and Tim split/fight again, then it won't be easy for her to contact me again. I thought it was a petty thing to block someone, but in this case you've convinced me that it's a way to take control of the situation. With luck I won't hear from her again, and if I do, like if she knocks on the door, I'll remind her of our agreement and shut her off. Time to stop being passive and take charge of my life, a life Ellie will not be part of. Hello again. I appreciate people taking the time to comment on my last post. The response was a lot more than I expected with over 2,000 comments. I'm amazed so many people wanted to comment about my situation. Thank you. Warning, this post is long. I have kept a daily journal since I was 16. A lot of what follows is dumps from my journal. Yes, I know I'm not concise. I'm going to refer to my ex as Ellie, not her real name. I'd like to write a bit about the comments because so many people took the time to provide their thoughts and I appreciate that. The majority of comments were some variation of move on. A clean break. A strong recommendation with a lot to recommend it. A minority said give her a chance and see how it goes. Plenty calling me an asshole for ending it because I wanted sex in our relationship, or for being obsessed with her virginity. That I dumped her because she wouldn't put out. And quite a few saying my breaking up with her made her feel like sex is necessary to keep a guy and that it drove her heartbroken into the next guy's bed. There were a few she's pregnant comments. Not that I know of, it's not impossible but if that happens it won't be anything to do with me. The dude saying I should fuck her and leave her, or worse, seriously some of you guys need a who, gee, or a psychologist, no. I would never use her like that, no matter our past. Ellie and I were a loving couple for years. That counts for something even after we broke up. Feeling hurt doesn't justify using her, or anyone else for that matter. As for comments that I have some hang up about taking her virginity, my issue when together was that we weren't having sex in our relationship, not whether she was a virgin or not. Her being a virgin was her reason for being abstinent, but wasn't directly an issue either way to me. If she hadn't been a virgin and wanted to be abstinent, I would have been in the same situation. The title of my last post was not great really. I broke up because we were not having sex, not because she was a virgin. Bear in mind, for 3 years Ellie had everything she wanted from our relationship. Boyfriend, love, affection, loyalty, support, and a guy who respected her wishes to be abstinent. While she got 100% of what she wanted, for me there was a big element missing. And there was no way to reconcile that. Either we were having sex or not having it. Sex requires both to say yes, and that wasn't going to happen. With hindsight, I should have ended the relationship early on, when Ellie first told me she wanted to not have sex until marriage. When we got together I was a naive 19-year-old who had never had a girlfriend before, so I kind of went along with things because I really liked her and got along with her so well. I fell in love with her and then kind of felt stuck in a relationship that wasn't what I wanted. I've learned from this and won't make that mistake in the future. I want to make active, not passive choices in future relationships. To not just go along with things because that's what the other person wants. Our views about sex in our relationship were not compatible, so I ended the relationship rather than waiting any longer hoping she'd change her mind. It was scary to take that step and I put it off for way too long, because I didn't want to hurt her. But I couldn't stay in the relationship just for her, I had to also consider myself too. My mistake was waiting so long to get to that point. I regret that as it caused her more hurt than if I'd ended it early on. Many of you say that sex just isn't that important. But for me it is, at least as part of a relationship. You can disagree. That's fine. Some people are fine being in no sex relationships. No judgment from me, but that's not what I want. Some people took issue with me saying I felt she strung me along. On reflection, that's fair. Ellie was clear to me about wanting to not have sex until marriage. I foolishly stayed way too long hoping she'd change her mind one day. She didn't. That was my mistake. I strung myself along really. She never led me on in any way. It hurt to learn that she had sex with the next guy relatively quickly after I waited so long. But she is my ex, so that is not my business anymore. She is allowed to change her mind. She can have sex, or not, with whoever she chooses. I don't get a say in that. My hurt is an emotional response, not a logical one. Logically I see she did nothing wrong by me. I'll get over it. It's just my bruised ego if I'm honest with myself. Feeling I'm somehow a lesser man because she took that step with the next guy. I know objectively that isn't true, but I sure feel it. I was not a perfect boyfriend and I have made mistakes. I have learned from them. I don't regret breaking up with Ellie and still think it was the right decision for me. Enough background. A few things have happened. Last weekend was the Australia Day long weekend. I was on a camping trip, in the Grampians for any Aussies reading. It was so nice to be in nature, to do some bushwalks with friends and decompress. It felt good to talk about the Ellie situation with my mates around the campfire. Most of them knew Ellie pretty well from our years together and they had a range of views, just like the commenters on my post. And up the usual good-natured shit about still being a virgin. I learned there's an expensive bottle of scotch they bought a while ago that's going to have its seal cracked when mine is. Bastards lol. One great question a friend asked was whether I would have ever decided to reach out and take Ellie back if she never reached out to me first. The answer is no. It was so obvious to me. That cut through a lot of the confusion for me. I was being too passive in this situation, and needed to do what I wanted. Not just react to what Ellie wanted. By the time I was on the way home, I had decided to not get back together with her. But that was moot. When I was driving home and got a mobile signal again, no mobile network where we had camped, the network delivered a bunch of messages from Ellie all at once. She said she was wrong to ask me to get back together, and that she's back with Tim, fake name, now. She also texted that the thing with Tim is more serious than she told me when she last met with me. She apologized for misleading me about her and Tim's relationship. If you remember, she called it a fling before. She asked if we could meet to talk about it. I was not happy, so I just texted back no. Not very mature of me, but I wasn't in the mood to hear more about all this. And I was surprised and pissed off that she lied to me. That seemed very out of character for her. She tried calling me but I didn't want to answer. She sent another text saying Tim and I had a fight. I shouldn't have come to you. And finally, I'm sorry. When I got home, I was an idiot and let my curiosity get the better of me. I looked up Tim online. His real given name is uncommon, so it wasn't hard to find. Found him on LinkedIn, which gave me his full name. Ellie is one of his connections and he works at the same firm, so I was confident it's him. He's a director at their firm, one level below partner. He also has pics on Insta. Lots of posts about his adventures around the world at various events and exotic places, as well as shots with an expensive looking car. A few photos of him with Ellie with their arms around each other in Singapore in November. I guess that confirms it was serious. He wouldn't have public pics with her for a casual fling. All that just made me feel bad. No good comes from comparing myself to my ex's successful boyfriend. Ellie is not my girlfriend and I'm not in competition with Tim. So I won't do that again. My ego's bruised enough already. I have been living a very frugal life my whole time at uni, aka poor as fuck, so I know I can feel inferior when I see people with wealth. That's another me problem to sort out. Anyway, all that was on Sunday afternoon/evening. On Tuesday evening, Ellie knocked at my door. She said that she knows I didn't want to talk to her, but she felt bad about everything and hoped I would to let her explain herself, clear the air, then I'd never see her again if that's what I wanted. I let her in. I was not happy with recent events but figured I might at least get a clearer idea of what's going on. It was a long, heavy conversation over 4 hours, but here's the gist as I remember it. When we broke up she was devastated. She said it took a couple of months before she started to feel a bit better. She missed me constantly and wanted to see me the whole time, but when I ended it we agreed to keep apart and heal. In September, she met Tim at work. He manages a different team, she doesn't work for him. She said he was very charming and attractive and showed almost immediate interest in her. They got to know each other and he asked her out. She was worried it was a rebound but felt so much better getting his attention that she went along with it. After dating for a while she developed feelings for him and that later led to a sexual relationship. It wasn't a fling and she dated him for a while beforehand. I asked about whether he had pressured her into sex, last time said he was very persistent. She said he was trying to not upset me, she thought if she gave the impression she was reluctant to have sex with Tim that I wouldn't think as badly of her. So it was a story to try and spare my feelings. I told her it just made me worried she had been assaulted. She looked shocked at that and said no way, she was actually the one who initiated their sexual relationship. I said although I don't like that she lied to me, I can understand why. I don't think she did anything wrong changing her mind about abstinence. Yes, I was hurt when she told me she was having sex but I have no right to judge her for anything, she's a single adult and it's her life. I don't think badly of her. She burst into tears and said something like I thought you must hate me now. I assured her that I didn't. She said she was sad it didn't work for us, but that she never would have dropped her virginity commitment if we had not broken up. After we broke up, she decided that it was a commitment she made to her dad when she was still a kid, and it was messing with the life she wants now. So by the time she and Tim got into their relationship, she had already decided she was ready for sex with the right person. I asked about her dad and she just said he doesn't need to know. I asked about why she asked to get back together. Tim is older, she told me he's 32, and has been at the firm 10 years. One day at work, one of the women made a snarky comment to Ellie about being another one of Tim's girls. She did some digging and it turns out Tim has a history. He has dated a long list of women from work, several of them were young graduate employees just like Ellie. The rumor around the office is that Ellie is just the next girl to get used by him. She was horrified. She accused him of using her. They argued and she told him it was over. Soon after that she came to me. She felt as if we might be able to rekindle things now that she was open to a sexual relationship. But my hesitation and time to calm down made her realize that was a mistake. Over the weekend, Tim asked her to work things out. She decided to give it a chance. She tried to call me but they went to voicemail, I was camping, so she sent those messages instead. So I guess that's settled, I don't want her back and she's in a relationship so she doesn't want me back either. We chatted a bit about how our families are going. She congratulated me on finally finishing uni. She asked if I had been seeing anyone and when I told her I'd been studying hard and working a lot since exams, retail job, with no time for girls, she laughed and said I'm still a big nerd. She hoped we could be friendly if we ever see each other. But she wants to keep out of contact out of respect for her relationship with Tim. She wants to give it a real chance of working. Which is fair enough. She gave me a hug, said thank you for understanding, and left. So there you have it. Ellie involved me in her relationship drama. I would have preferred she hadn't but at least it's sorted now. I'm glad I paid attention to my feelings and took time out to consider things, as it could have been very messy if I had taken her back. Trusting my gut has been the biggest lesson for me in all this. I still care for her despite recent events. It seems like she is dealing with a lot of complicated things between her new relationship and work gossip. I wish her well and hope she will be happy, whether it's with Tim or not. She was my first love and I expect I'll always have warm memories of her. But I am clear now that I don't want her back. She is my past and I want to look forward. Well, this has become an essay. Tutors at uni always told me I was too waffly in my writing. Well, fuck those guys, I'm not a student anymore. I can now focus on launching my new career with no distractions. I've worked so hard for so long to get here. My new job starts on Monday. It's going to be so great building actual real experience my new profession, not just endless theory. I'll be earning much better money, no more student poverty, and I've got graduation in May to look forward to as well. I'm open to finding someone new but that is way down my priority list. I'm not going to actively pursue that anytime soon. Cheers everyone for your comments and advice. Oop, well, we've agreed to stay out of each other's lives. I fully intend to keep to that. I hope she does too. Oop, I was already pretty churned up about things from when she first asked to get back together. I wish she hadn't done that. But after she came to see me on Tuesday it was easier for me, we got to mutually say no to a future together, and also put a lot of baggage in the bin. Is Ellie going to be happy? I don't know. I hope so, but I have my doubts about this Tim dude. But you probably can't trust my judgment on that. More relevant to me is whether I'm going to be happy. The answer is fuck yes, because I'm going to make that happen. My old throwaway got blocked, so I had to make this new one. I learned a lot through that experience and believe that I'm a little less naive than I was. Many of you said I would see Ellie, now 22F, again. You were right. If you recall from my previous posts, my ex Ellie and I mutually agreed to be no contact after some drama on her part. At the urging of Redditors, I also blocked her to help maintain no contact. I've been working since February as a graduate engineer, and it's been everything I hoped it would be. I'm meeting amazing smart people, learning so much every day, and am finally earning a salary after years of being a broke student. Having a little money in the bank and being able to afford to do things like eating out is such a nice change. When I finished uni in November, I moved in with my brother temporarily. He'd just broken up with his ex and needed help with his rent. That's where I was living when Ellie last came to see me. He found a new housemate, and since his place was on the wrong side of the CBD, for my job, I moved into a share house in the southeast of Melbourne. The place is a bit run down, but the rent is reasonable, by insane Melbourne standards, and there are lots of pubs, bars and restaurants nearby. The location and my housemates have been great. I'm seeing someone. I'll call her Olivia, not her real name. She's the sister of one of my housemates. We met when my housemates and I had a barbecue and she dropped by. We got talking and were still talking hours later until everyone else had left. Her brother told us to STFU so he could get some sleep, haha. I asked her out that week and we've been close since. My housemate, her brother, has been making fun of us ever since, including more than a few crude jokes when she stays over. We agreed to be exclusive 6 weeks ago, so it's still quite new. She's so cool. And smart. And gorgeous. The chemistry was instant and intense from the moment we met. We just click so well. It's such a great time when we're together. Olivia is an accountant at a big firm. One of Olivia's workmates was having a party last month. She asked me to come to meet some of her work friends. We went inside and Olivia introduced me to the woman who hosted the party, her workmate Jess. There would have been maybe 40 to 50 people there. I didn't know anyone but Olivia. At one point I offered to grab more drinks. The kitchen was in a separate room. As I was getting them, a guy asked me to pass him a beer from the fridge. I introduced myself and he said, "Hi, I'm Tim," fake name from my last post. He actually said his unusual name. We chatted a couple of minutes about our jobs and how we know Jess, then I just said nice to meet you and returned to the group. I didn't recognize his face as I'd never met him before, but it was definitely Ellie's Tim, his job and firm lineup. And he looked in his 30s, a bit older than most people at the party. Neither of us mentioned Ellie when we were talking. Later on I asked Jess how she knew Tim. She said she used to work at the same firm as Tim, also where Ellie works, but she moved to another employer, where Olivia works. Despite living in a city of 5 million, it's still a small world. On the tram ride home I must have been quiet because Olivia asked what was on my mind. I said that Tim guy at the party was, or maybe still is, my ex's boyfriend. I said I didn't think he knew who I was, or if he did he didn't say anything. That prompted me to share some history about me and Ellie. Olivia was wide-eyed and said, "You never told me you were a virgin." Then she laughed and said, "Well, we took care of that." She asked if I had any feelings for Ellie and I truthfully said no. I dealt with all that months ago. More recently, there was a formal charity dinner that Olivia was asked to support. Her employer was a sponsor of the event. She was keen to show me off. We were at a table with a bunch of her work colleagues. Nice people. One of her work friends was so excited to meet me, and Olivia can't stop talking about you. That made me feel really good. After dinner a few of us were chatting and I got a tap on the shoulder. I turned around and to my surprise it was Ellie. Tim was with her. It was so weird to see her again. Tim said he remembered meeting me at that party but never made the connection to Ellie until just now. She must have told him about me. Ellie looked very different. She had lost a lot of weight and was very slim. The tight red dress she was wearing made that obvious. Her dad would not approve. Not that she was ever overweight, but I'd never seen her that thin before. She was immaculately made up with what looked to my ignorant eye like expensive jewelry. She'd changed her hair too, now blonde instead of her natural auburn. She looked like a sleek rich girl, not the poor pastor's daughter I remember. Don't get me wrong, she looked amazing, but she looked like a different person. I know it was a formal event so we were all dressed nicely, but his was a major transformation. Despite her glam looks, when I saw her I didn't feel anything for her. Just nothing. Ellie said she was so glad to see me and she had some news, holding out her hand to show a diamond engagement ring. I know nothing about diamonds but it looked pretty big and expensive to me. I offered my congratulations to them both. Just then Olivia walked back over. I introduced her to Ellie and Tim. Olivia put her arm around me and Ellie's smile seemed to kind of freeze. I didn't really know what else to say, so I just said nice to see you again and wished them all the best for the wedding. Tim walked off and Ellie just sort of stood there a moment. It was awkward. Later on, as we were leaving, Ellie was staring at us as we walked out. Olivia said later that I think she still has a thing for you. I said it doesn't matter. Anyway, cut to a few days ago. My brother messaged me saying Ellie stopped by looking for me. Yes, Reddit, you were right. He knew to not share my new address with her, so all he said is I'd moved out. Next day I received an email from an address I hadn't seen before. It was Ellie. No acknowledgement that she was breaking our agreement to be no contact. No mention she stopped by my old place. It said it was so great to see you again, I've missed you and that girl you were with is pretty, how serious is it? And telling me she and Tim have big plans for their wedding next year and she hopes I can come. I was annoyed because she is trying to make her life my business. Again. Despite promising no contact. Even going to the trouble to make a new email address to get around me blocking her. I showed Olivia the email and she rolled her eyes and asked me to think about why my ex would send me that. Why indeed? Olivia is great at cutting through bullshit and reads people way better than I do. Ellie can't have me back. I'm in a relationship now plus she's engaged, and it's not like I would go to their wedding. Who goes to their ex's wedding? It wouldn't be right. I don't know why she's trying to contact me, but I can guess that she wants to use me for emotional support again. Or maybe things are rocky with Tim, who knows? Whatever she wants, it's not happening. She has family and friends, she can talk to them. I deleted the email and blocked the address without replying. Ellie promised she'd keep out of contact and just couldn't help herself. I still intend to keep my word no contact, even if she doesn't. I've also set up a filter to send any email containing her name to the bin. Olivia and I had a talk after that. I asked if she was concerned about the Ellie thing but she said no, she's not worried, she didn't get serial killer vibes from Ellie. I'm glad none of this has put her off me. So nothing too dramatic but it does prove you guys were right, Ellie could not contact me despite promising to do so. I was able to sidestep her much more easily than last time. Ultimately this is a good news story. Life is so great right now. I've got a cool new girlfriend, a fun place to live and a new career I love. It has been easy to leave Ellie behind.